Part verification is a useful feature in SURFCAM that allows you to simulate your machining process before running it on the machine. Before starting verification, though, you need to create what's called a stock model. That is the material that you're going to be using. In the example you see on the screen, we have created a wireframe model that represents the stock. In cases like this, it's easy to create a stock model. First, we go to the Operations Manager, and we have two ways of creating a stock model. We can create the stock under the NC project, or we can create stock under Setup 1, or any setup section that follows it. When you create stock under NC project, the same stock is used for the entire project. That means for every setup section in your project, you will use the same stock. If you create stock under a setup section, then that stock model will only be used for that setup section. In this example, I'll create my stock under Setup 1. I'm going to right mouse click Setup 1, left mouse click Edit Setup Information, and then left mouse click on the Stock tab. The first thing we see is that our current stock is none, meaning we have no stock created yet. Our stock type can be one of three: box, cylinder, and STL solid. I'm going to use box for this example. One way to create stock is to enter in diagonally opposite corners. Here we can enter the first corner, X, Y, and Z, and then follow that up with a second corner that is diagonally opposite in length, width, and height. Right below corner 1 and corner 2, we have geometry bounding box. In this case, since we've gone to the trouble of creating wireframe geometry that represents our stock, geometry bounding box gives us an easy way to create a stock model. All I have to do is click on Geometry Bounding Box, and SURFCAM will look at the extent of geometry on the screen and create a rectangular box that represents our stock based upon what we've drawn on the screen. Now, as you can see up at the top here, we haven't added any stock yet. Stock still says none. So the next step is to click the Add button, click OK, and we have our stock model. We can prove this by going to the Verify button up here and clicking on it. Now the stock model will be created. Another way to create stock when you don't have a wireframe is to create stock geometry based off the part model. In this case, I'm going to go to the Operations Manager, right mouse click on Setup 1, left mouse click on Edit Setup Information, and go to the Stock tab. Down here we have Geometry Bounding Box again, and we also have an offset available. Let's say our stock was a ½ inch bigger than our part. I'm going to put it in an offset here of 0.5 and then click on Geometry Bounding Box. Now all the numbers you see here are a ½ inch bigger in X, Y, and Z than our part geometry. The thing to look at here, though, is over in Z. The top of the part is going to be 0, so I'm going to change this, and I'm going to make the bottom Z -1, since we had -1.5, which was a ½ an inch larger than our dimensions. I've made it -1. Now I can click Add and click OK, and with these numbers we'll have a stock model that's a ½ an inch bigger in X and Y and right to size in Z. Now if I click on the Verification button, we'll see our stock created. Another method of creating stock for a stock model is to use an STL file. This is especially useful if you're machining castings. To create an STL stock model, we go to the Operations Manager, and once again I'm going to right mouse click on Setup Section number 1, left mouse click on Edit Setup Information, and go to the Stock tab. Where it says Stock Type Box, I'm going to go down and choose STL Solid. Now we can browse to where our STL stock model file is located. Click on Browse, click on 2D Cover Stock, STL, click on Open, and then once again click on Add and OK. Now when we go to Verify, I click on the Verify button, and we'll have a stock model that looks like our STL file. If I run this, we can see the results.